What's going on, guys? It's Pineapple King. This is day probably 13. I'm not even sure. Once again, it doesn't matter because we're doing the Houston Texans today. If you like this type of content, go like and subscribe. Let me know what you think the record's going to be down below. Let's go into their best and worst moves. Obviously, doing a second rounder guaranteed contract, Jade Higgins, is great if he performs really well, especially with the signing of Christian Kirk for really cheap. Kind of had to revamp the wide receiver room a little bit, but you have Tank Dell when he comes back from injury, and obviously Nico Collins is a dog too. So that wide receiver room is looking a lot better, and it was already pretty good from last year. So CJ Stroud has weapons, and obviously signing Derek Stingley Jr. is huge, giving him that extension. He's gonna be good. Losing Larry Tunsil was obviously like bad. He's an All-Pro lineman. I mean, he's getting old, but he's still so good. And your replacements for them were not the greatest, but it's okay. I think the worst part about that is you took $43 million in dead cap, which is about 15% of your dead cap salary. So that sucks. But let's get into this. Rams in SoFi week 1. Your rookie's not ready, maybe Tank Dell. I don't know exactly his injury timeline, but I know it was bad. I remember watching that live. You're going to lose. Obviously, you're going to lose my Bucks. Let's just get out of the way, too. Both these teams have pretty good offenses, I would say, to compare with yours. And the Texans actually have a pretty good defense. And the Rams definitely have a good enough defense to stop you. The Bucks kind of do. I think it'll be a shootout game, especially with it being in Houston. That may be a little bias of me to choose the Bucks there, but I think that the Bucks have the way better offense. I mean, they've got insane offense. First time you play the Jags in Jacksonville, it's a dub. It's a dub. You finally get on your feet a little bit. It took you a while, but you finally did. And I think it's just because Travis Hunter's not ready. Who knows what side of the ball he's playing on fully? Nobody knows yet. And then you play the Titans for the first time, and it's in Houston, so that's a dub too. And now you're 2-2. Kind of what you expect as a Texans fan at this point. Like, you're just kind of sitting around the mid range the whole time. That's kind of how your whole division is. And we'll go back to back to back with everybody in your division besides the Titans. But then you have to go to the Ravens in Baltimore, and I just don't think you can pull that off. I think that's a really difficult game. And it's just the Ravens' offense is so good. Your defense is good, but not good enough. So you're heading to the bye week 2-3, which is kind of disappointing because you kind of want to make a push again with CJ, and you're kind of just chilling around the wild card team. So you kind of need to step it up a little bit. You play Seattle in Lumen Field is another loss. That's not stepping up, especially after the bye week, which sucks. Back-to-back away games for the bye week. And maybe they win it, but I think Sam Darnold is like, he's probably going to be locked in the first half of the season. The second half's not going to go as well for him, but obviously, another team, another video. Niners in Houston. That is a dub. At this point, who knows who could be injured for the Niners, and their defense took a huge hit. So I think your offense can capitalize on that. Broncos in Houston, I think that's a dub. That is a tough dub. That is a tough dub. They probably have the best defense in the league. And I actually am going to point something out at the end of this video whenever we go back to the Texans. But you take a tough dub, probably like a field goal, and Fairbairn hits those, so field goal win. You play the Jags for the second time. I think you lose, which is kind of weird. You flip flop, like you guys lose your home games, which is weird. But I think at this point, Travis Hunter is definitely either a solid corner or a solid wide receiver, and he'll play on either side and do well. Titans for the second time. I think you sweep them. Cam Ward is not going to be ready in the first game, and he might be ready in the second game, but that defense isn't good enough to stop your offense. Thursday Night Football against the Bills, I think, is a loss. And I think it's just because it's also a quick turnaround, and the Bills are really good, and their offense is good enough to compare with your defense. And a lot of these losses, guys, like they have good interior linemen. Vita Vea, forgot his name forgot his name, but I know Vita Vea obviously because I'm the Bucks. But Joey Bosa, if he's healthy and good at this point, like the front seven are a big reason of why you're losing a lot of these games right now. But I mean, you're 5-6, not bad. You play the Colts for the first time, you take a dub, so you're 6-6, and honestly, 6-6 is gonna be either tied for first or probably at the top of that division because that division is gonna be so haywire. Oh man! And then you have to play the Chiefs in Arrowhead. Well, guess what? You win that game. That is a revenge game. You guys are filled with hatred, man. That is a revenge game for what happened in the playoffs. You guys put a good fight up in the playoffs. You're going to show them your revenge here in Arrowhead, too, which is really going to be super sweet. And then you play the Cardinals and you lose. I think you put all your heart and effort into that Chiefs game that you just are, you're beaten up, and the Cardinals can take a dub. And they've got Kyler Murray, sneaky good, sneaky top 10 quarterback, in my opinion. Could be biased again because I'm an OU fan. But he's the same as Lamar, just shorter. Anyways, Raiders in NRG, that's a dub. I think that's going to be a closer dub than people think. Like, way closer dub than people think. And then you have the Chargers in SoFi. It's a dub. Which is kind of... You guys are both kind of fighting for being at the top of your division at this point in Week 17. So it's like a do or die game for both of you. I think you just edge them out barely. That's another close game, kind of like the Broncos. And what's crazy to me is you destroy the entire AFC West. You beat all four of their teams. The AFC West is a tough division, so it's a hard schedule for the Texans this year. And those, obviously they cheat. Honestly, all three of those games could go another way. But I mean, Cardinals, Seattle could also go another way too. You lost to the NFC West, but you beat the AFC West. So who knows? Those could be completely flipped. I don't have the script. Then you play the Colts again in NRG, and that is a dub. A dub. So I think with that win, you win the division. Probably. Send your predictions below because you go 10-7, and we're gonna come over here. And do you think you guys won the division? Last year, I really believed. I was on the CJ Stroud train, and it was good. I had you guys beating the tiebreaker on the Ravens. You still made the playoffs. I was still correct with you winning the division. I did pretty good with that one. Where are you gonna land here? 10-7. If you win the division, you're gonna be in here. If you lose the division, you're gonna be here. It's a big playoff factor. Who you're gonna play? You win the division at 10-7. You won't know if it's a tiebreaker or not until I get to the next team. We have our first playoff matchup in these videos so far. Texans Broncos. And just as a side note, remember how I said you guys beat the Broncos barely in the regular season? I think you lose to them in the playoffs as a revenge game for them, basically. And their defense just shows out in the playoffs. And I think they might make a deep run. But that is for future Colin, Pineapple King to figure that out. But I will see you guys later. If you like the content, again, sub, comment, everything. We're going to do these teams alphabetically. And I will see you guys tomorrow.